It's time to handle our Monday night football props. Packers, Eagles. We got Will Brinson joining the party. And Will, I'm going to start with you. We start with passing props. A lot of Jordan Love conversation that we're about to hear. You're going to kick it off.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a game to me that profiles with a lot of running the football for both sides, right? And I think the Packers would love to feed Josh Jacobs, get him something in the range of like 18 to 20 carries, depending on what side of that you like, to get some efficiency in the run game. And I think the Eagles want to do the same thing, particularly early. I think we see a lot of that. And so as a result, we can take Jordan Love's under on completions here at 20 and a half. You add in like the sort of approach that they're going to take on offense, which is probably going to be deeper shots. Christian Watson may be more involved. No Matthew Golden, obviously no Tucker Kraft. I don't think he's going to be dinking and dunking it, spreading it around and throwing a lot in this game. And so you have some higher like risk completions. I like that look, especially, we can even still cover it, even if the Eagles get a lead and the Packers are forced to throw more than we think they will.
Especially with Tucker Kraft out of this game, we still have some unknowns with some of the other reliable receivers for the Packers. This actually leads, Will, to my play. And then, Larry, we're going to get to yours because you're kind of on the other side of it, although all three of us could easily hit here. I've got the under, 236 and a half passing yards. I think this number is way too high in a game that we know is going to be a slow pace game with maybe a couple less possessions than you'd normally get in an NFL game, but also a big time run heavy game for the Packers and the Eagles. I don't see, especially with this upgraded secondary now post trade deadline coming off a bye. This team is relatively healthy. The Eagles I'm talking about on the defensive side of the ball. Love hasn't really looked that great lately either. I think 236 is a lot. I think this should probably be in the 222, 224 range, if that, like the under 236 and a half passing yards here. Larry, you're looking for a longest completion. Now, I will say, Will Brinson just talked about Jordan Love maybe taking some shots downfield. Christian Watson's starting to look good. Talk to me about your prop.
Well, he hit Watson for a 52-yarder last week. We don't know if Golden will be out there, but they are very aggressive with the pass game. Yes, both teams play slow. Yes, both teams are bottom 10 in neutral game pass rate, but when they throw, he likes to attack deep. Jordan Love, number 3 in explosive pass play percentage in the NFL. So I'm going to go with his longest, over 37 and a half. The Eagles have actually just been middle of the pack defending the deep pass, which was one of their strengths last year. So far this year, not so much.
All right, Danny, let's go to the Jalen Hurts side of things. We're not expecting a ton of passing yards from him.
Yeah, I'm looking for what Brinson said, a run-heavy game script where teams are looking to play a little bit conservatively. Don't make the mistake football. It's a really important matchup here. And I think the line is a little bit telling. Hurts is under this line in 4 of his 8 games, so just half. But when he goes under, he plummets under. And I think the cover 6 look from the Packers might give him some fits. They play cover 6 at a top 10 rate in the league. A lot of zone looks. Hurts' numbers fall off when he faces a heavy zone look. And I think that means they're going to be doubling up A.J. Brown a lot. So you take away, that guy that is the man beater that really hits the deep pass and beats his one-on-one matchups, and you're forced to perhaps dink and dunk to Dallas Goedert, to Devontae Smith. I think that's going to limit his yardage on this game. Maybe he has to take it on himself, maybe tush push, which we know the Packers hate very much, so maybe they'll rub that in their face a little bit. And I think ultimately he stays under this number in a game that won't feature crazy air yardage.
A professional transition, because Danny, Larry and Will have the same play here, and it is very much tush push implicated. Will, I got to go to you first because there's a bit of a storyline here when it comes to the tush push and the Green Bay Packers as well. Lead us off with that.
All right, we talked about it on the 10 a.m. show on the SportsLine YouTube, but as Sia, you correctly pointed out, Nick Sirianni, maybe the biggest frat bro head coach in the NFL. Nick Sirianni is vindictive and spiteful. He likes to yell at fans. And this offseason, there was a huge battle about the tush push. The Packers were the ones leading the charge. Mark Murphy made it very public that he wanted it banned. They proposed a rule they put up a rule proposal to have it banned. And the only reason it wasn't banned is because Nick Sirianni went out and got all the guys who'd been his offensive or defensive coordinators and had won titles or been really good good and got their jobs because they played for the Eagles to vote for it. Like the Cardinals, the Colts, and the Saints, and the Eagles. Those are the teams that kept the push alive. And now they get to go head to head against the team that wanted to ban it. They might come out and run the tush push on first down, honestly. Like just sneak Jalen Hurts on 1st and 10. I do think if they get down by the goal line, Jalen Hurts is going to get plenty of chances to score with the tush push. At plus 105, this is a really good value number for a spiteful frat bro head coach who's going to try and sneak him in.
I couldn't have put it any better myself. Larry, you agree?
Yeah, well, Sirianni, they remember Micah Parsons tweeting, "This is not football," when they ran the play 4 straight times against the Giants. Yeah, Jalen Hurts has not gotten in the end zone the last 2 games, but he has 5 rushing touchdowns. It's definitely in play tonight.
Now, first of all, I will say that Micah Parsons was correct. And I did tweet out when those 4 tush pushes happened in a row on a featured game, I tweeted out immediately after, it's going to be banned this summer at the summer meetings, because the optics of that were so terrible. I was stunned that the Eagles did that on national television 4 times in a row. Sorry for my editorial. Let's go to more of a rushing prop. We're going to go, Danny, Josh Jacobs. We're taking an under.
Yeah, and actually I'm over on his prop, but of course, see, in that game, they went 4 straight tush pushes. I had a Saquon Barkley touchdown, so that's how that goes. But in this one, I like Josh Jacobs to run the rock here. I think that they can expose the Eagles on the ground, who, yes, brought in Jalen Phillips. They need to beef up that line a little bit, which isn't really getting home to the pass rush, but also isn't stopping the run. They're bottom 10 in rush DVOA, and I think Jacobs, who's been a little bit inefficient here and there, is going to need to be the lead guy here. With Tucker Kraft out, a lot of wide receivers banged up, you got to expose the Eagles on the ground. You got to keep possession, keep that explosive offense off the field. And I think that's on the back of, like Brinson said, Jacobs potentially 15 to 20 carries here. So 67.5 after a couple kind of duds of games, nothing too special. I think it's a decent number to grab him at now.
Yeah, Danny, I think it's a decent number considering the volume. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go to the most rushing yards play, which pretty much every major sports book has. And I'm going to take Saquon Barkley, most rushing yards in the game at minus 135. Because I agree with you, Danny, that Josh Jacobs can get there. But he does have Emmanuel Wilson behind him. He does have some nagging injuries that we're not 100% sure he's completely over. More importantly, Saquon Barkley is just the more dynamic running back. Hasn't had a great season, but we've started to see flashes as of late. So getting him as the guy with the most rushing yards in this game at minus 135, actually do think is pretty great value. So I'm going that direction. Let's go to receiving props. Larry, I start with you. I was considering on SportsLine putting in a Devontae Smith receiving yards prop at like 52, 54.5. You like his receptions?
I endorse the yards. I like the receptions just a little bit more. He's gotten 20 targets the past 2 games. In those games, the Eagles scored 66 points. So it's working. You're facing a zone-heavy defense like we talked about. He is the preferred option over A.J. Brown in these kind of matchups. I also like that they use him in the slot for those really short passes. And that's what the Packers make you do. They make you complete short passes and matriculate it down the field. They don't give up the deep ball. So give me Devontae over 4.5.
The next 3 picks for me, Danny, and Will are all Christian Watson related. Danny, I'm going to let you lead us off.
Man, he's got to come through for us, but I think he will, because he's really starting to rear up in that Packers offense. Since returning from injury, he's over this receiving yards line in back-to-back games. And in looking back to last season, when he gets 4+ targets in a game, he's 7-3 to the over on this current receiving yards mark. One of the misses, he had 39 receiving yards exactly. So all we got to do is get some looks. We talked about the deep ball threat. We talked about that longest completion. And I think he can beat the Eagles in the secondary, who, yes, have the names, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Hey, look at their metrics. They're 15th in pass DVOA. They're middle of the pack. I still feel like the Super Bowl aura is carrying some overrated sentiment about the Eagles to them. And I'm not so afraid of this secondary, who did intercept Jordan Love 3 times in a playoff game, but it's not going to stop him from airing out, especially off a loss to the Panthers, where they need to get something going. I think Watson gets his shots tonight.
Will, you agree? I mean, I'm on this same exact play, so I don't need to expand upon what Danny just said. I like the over receiving yards, but you like the over longest reception, which plays very well with our plays.
Yeah, and like let's look at these 2 numbers, guys. His total receiving yards prop is 38.5, and his longest reception is 21.5. That is a pretty wild disparity, and it tells you the exact type of player and type of plays that the Packers are going to run. Love is a great deep ball passer. it dovetails really nicely with Larry's longest completion. And I think Watson is the deep threat. Now, you do have to worry he gets hurt early, but I think they'll take some shots down the field in the first quarter on those early drives to try and really push that Eagles defense back and allow Josh Jacobs to run. With Golden unlikely to be out there, I think Watson's the guy they're going to look to. He is the best deep threat, and I love him to catch this. He's gone over this like by 12 plus yards and by 30 plus yards in his first 2 games of the year.
Will, I'm going to stick with you. We want to go, before we get to first touchdowns, which are always super fun, game team props. You and Larry have one here. You've got a really interesting one that I really like. It's in the same vein as my Saquon Barkley most rushing yards situation. Both teams to score 1+ rushing touchdown is only -120.
Yeah, I mean, the advent of legalized gambling has made it fun to find like these wild props. I actually almost looked at under 1+ passing touchdown for each team, which is +190 at the same book. But I think this is a safer bet because you're looking at 2 teams that when they get down by the goal line are going to pound the ball and going to run the football a lot. The tush push, of course, and then the Packers love to give it to Josh Jacobs, block it up for him, and let him power it in the end zone. And we're laying just -120 for a 1 rushing touchdown from each team. I think this is a really good look. It should be probably closer to like 145.
Larry, talk to me about a defensive tackles prop.
Yeah, Zach Vaughn has only missed 2 tackles the past 4 games. He is the man in the middle for the Eagles. Never comes off the field, facing a run-heavy script from the Packers. I love him to get 8 combined tackles. That means solo tackles plus assists. And the reason that's important with the assists is you're in Green Bay where they have the 4th most generous stat crew in terms of giving an assist. 58% of the time they give an assist on the tackles. That could be the difference tonight.
All right, let's talk about first touchdown scores. We'll keep it quick here. Danny Brasco, I would normally save this one for last because it's so spicy, but we do know there's some injury issues with the Green Bay Packers. We're not 100% sure who's playing and who isn't. We do know that Savion Williams might get some looks, particularly if guys like Matthew Golden or Dontavian Wicks are determined to be out. You like him as a first touchdown scorer?
I mean, Savion's questionable to play too, so I don't even know if he'll be out there. But if he doesn't play, he'll get your money back. At +6,500, though, think about going up against this Vic Fangio defense. He's their gadget guy. He's their trickeration guy. Give me Savion to mix it up and find something funky to get in the end zone first.
Absolute hero ball from Danny Brasco. Larry, who's your first touchdown scorer?
Luke Musgrave, 18-1. This is his chance to play a full complement of snaps because he's been stuck behind Tucker Kraft, and they used a lot of draft capital on this guy. The Eagles have given up 5 receiving touchdowns to opposing tight ends, so I like his chances to get in the end zone.
Will, if Jalen Hurts is near the goal line and he's getting a pass rush and he doesn't know what to do, maybe he just throws it up to one of the strongest guys in the league.
Yeah, AJ Brown's a grown-ass man. And when here's the thing, when you get a game between 2 teams that love to run the ball and have, a rushing quarterback in Jalen Hurts plus 2 superstar running backs in Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, you're going to get the pass catchers, the elite pass catchers at 10-1 or longer. And that's what AJ Brown is. And I mean, AJ Brown, if you look at the games where he scored these first quarter touchdowns or early touchdowns, it's been games where people are like, AJ Brown ain't happening. Well, it's prime time. It's AJ Brown. He can beat anybody at any point in time. I like AJ Brown at a full 11-1 here.
And you got to feed AJ Brown early, otherwise he pouts and gets extremely unhappy. Everybody knows that.
And he reads books on the sideline.
And Jalen Hurts, that's right. I'm going to go with Dallas Goedert. I think the Eagles are going to win this game. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. But I like Dallas Goedert to score in the red zone. He doesn't get a ton of looks between the 20s, but in the red zone, he gets a ton of looks. I think the zone coverage that we're going to see from Green Bay, I could see Dallas Goedert finding a soft spot in the zone in the middle of the field and scoring a touchdown. So I like him at 13-1. I like all of these plays. Savion Williams is just bananas, Brasco. I can't wait for that one to come in so we can celebrate clipping that and putting it out on social media. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a break because we got to get to more Monday Night Football bets, including who's going to win this game, who's going to cover the spread, totals, first half bets. We've got it coming up on the Early Edge. Pretty soon, we're going to look ahead to lines for Week 11 and some college football as well. But we stick with Monday Night Football. We got to determine a winner here. Danny, we do this 10 o'clock show, The Early Edge, on the SportsLine YouTube channel. You were in the chat. You weren't actually on that particular show. You heard a lot of Philadelphia Eagles sentiment. And I got to be honest, I'm starting to think the only reason I feel like I might be on the wrong side taking Philly is because so many people like Philly and it seems so obvious. So, Danny, I can trust you to give me the contrarian viewpoint here.
Excuse me, I was muted there. See, you know it, but it's getting a little bit public for my taste, right? I mean, the Packers are going to be, people are going to be down on them after losing outright to the Panthers, but I feel like it's a buy low spot. I actually have more trust issues with the Eagles than I do with the Packers because this team could easily be 4-4. You're looking at a Travis Kelce drop that turned into an interception early in the season. The Rams, they blocked a field goal to come back and win that one. And the Vikings were in the red zone virtually the entire game against them and just couldn't score. So I have a lot of question marks about this defense that I mentioned before, has all the names, but still feels overrated based on the metrics they're showing. And more than anything, see it's Kevin Patullo, their offensive coordinator. I just don't trust this guy. They seem to be finding some things going under center and single back look. They were doing a lot of shotgun. The run game has opened up via that. But I'm not trusting them here, on the road against the Packers team, who's 11-4 against the spread off a loss under Matt LaFleur when playing in Lambeau Field. So I'm expecting them to put their best foot forward and show that the Eagles are still a little bit bloated and overrated.
Yeah, I feel like the Eagles are actually coming into form. That's the thing. And we can look at some of those previous games and decide, okay, they could have lost those games. That's very true. But when you look at the trajectory of the Packers and you look at the trajectory of the Philadelphia Eagles and what they added pre-trade deadline, it just seems like it's a bad time to be playing the Philadelphia Eagles coming off a bye week. Will, did I just make your argument for you? What do you have to add? Because I know you like the Eagles as well.
Yeah, I like the Eagles, and I think the line movement we saw today is indicative of probably not like the public hammering Philly, but like smart money hammering Philly, and it's it gets down to 1.5. I'll take the money line on the Eagles. One, we've seen a lot of good NFL teams come out of their bye this year and really flex on their opponents. I think having that bye right around the trade deadline is massive too for a team with Howie Roseman that loves to make deals. Now you can work these guys in. Jalen Phillips played under Vic Fangio, so there's not a huge he knows the playbook, right? I mean, they're going to come in and be key components of that defense. And then I just think what we saw, and I agree, the offensive coordinator thing is a concern, Danny. But what we saw the last 2 weeks before the Eagles bye, them chunking the ball down the field and looking like last year's Eagles team, if they keep doing that, then they are very much a top 5 team in the NFL. And I don't see any reason why you'd stop after the success they had the 2 weeks before the bye. I think they come out and sling it around a little bit, get Saquon going, and win the game.
Larry, I know you're in the lean category when it comes to this game, at least with respect to picking a winner. Talk to me about that. And if you don't mind, transition to what you like on the total in this game as well.
Definitely leaning Philly because Nolan Smith is coming back. This is a guy who had 10.5 sacks in the final 16 games. You bring Brandon Graham back. You trade for Jalen Phillips. So the pass rush, which was probably one of the best points of that Super Bowl team, is going to look a little bit more formidable like it did last year, especially with Nolan Smith coming back. And then so I'm leaning Philly, but I definitely like the under here. You have one team that's 24th in pace. The other is 27th. Both teams in neutral scripts much prefer to run the ball. They're both bottom 10 in neutral game pass rate. You have the Packers allowing the fewest explosive pass plays in the league. So the Eagles are going to have to mount some long drives. And on the other side, Green Bay's offense with a lot of injuries led by Tucker Kraft. So I love the under here, 45.5.
Yeah, Danny, I totally agree with that underplay. You like that as well.
Larry pretty much said it all. The last thing I'll say is zone-heavy looks. I think the Packers are going to keep the ball in front of them, right? They're going to not get beat by A.J. Brown. That's the key there. They're going to not give up the 50-yard run to Saquon Barkley. And if the pace of play plays out like Larry outlined, this team's typically moving the ball methodically down the field, we're not going to get very many points in this game.
Brinson, you disagree. You think we could have more points than people expect?
I think that we get to, I think people are looking at these primetime games. They saw the Broncos and the Raiders on Thursday night. They saw the Chargers and the Steelers on Sunday night. They're thinking, all right, now we got two slow teams that aren't going to do anything in this game. I do agree that it starts out slow, but I feel like there's the explosive playmakers in this game, I don't think we'll see Josh Jacobs break one, but like Saquon Barkley can house it from anywhere. Christian Watson can pick up a 60-yard catch out of nowhere. Jordan Love loves throwing the ball down deep. deep. AJ Brown, same thing. And then these two teams are really good in the red zone. I expect some red zone efficiency. So I think you could need a couple explosives to get there. But I think we actually end up stealing the over in this one with a lot of second half points.
It's interesting you mentioned the second half points, because this is another, when we transition to team total or first half bets, Danny, you've got one that's not the same as the three of us. So I'm just going to say what the other one is, because not yours, Danny, because it's consistent with the under. So I don't think we need to belabor the point. Both Larry and Will and myself are on the under 23.5 first half. And Will, you said, hey, we might see a lot of second half points. So you like points in this game, but you like it to be more methodical and slow in the first half, and then things open up in the second half, which I think is a great take. So we're all on the first half under 23.5. But Danny Brasco, you're on Dallas Goedert over 4.5 receptions at plus 135. Explain yourself.
So this line is at 3.5, pretty juiced, about minus 165, 170 on most books. But I actually like the play at the plus money. I think he gets that 5th reception because he's going to be an important target over the middle of the field. We talk at length about the zone looks, the cover 6 looks. I think that benefits, like Larry mentioned, Devontae Smith, along with Dallas Goedert, who's a guy that only had 3 catches and 3 targets in back-to-back games, but he's 6 for 6 on those. And he's got 7 games with 4 or more targets. He's got 2 games with 11 targets. This guy is a frequent target for Jalen Hurts when he needs those over the middle of the field looks and pick up some key first downs. We also love him in the red zone, those little shovel plays. That's a nice look for him. So I think Goddard can get those check down routes and go over 4.5 receptions for plus odds.